Today, we're going to talk about 3 leadership qualities that every leader must have a good foundation in, or else they're not going to succeed. So what are 3 leadership qualities we need to have? Well, I always talk about building influence. If you can't build influence, nobody's going to follow you. And to do that, we also need to have trust. So influence and trust are the first 2. And the third one is communication. You got to be able to communicate to individuals effectively, or else not going anywhere. So let's jump into all 3 of these topics. So the first one is influence. How do you build influence? Well, salespeople have been known to be really good leaders because they know how to generate influence because, well, that's their job. Salespeople are trained to build influence, and the more influence you have, the more you sell. That's how sales really works. So understanding the sales process, which you don't have to be a successful salesperson, have years under your belt, but just understanding the sales process and the steps and effectively how you work through that, you're going to be able to build influence. And that's basically why I wrote the book, The Sales Process Uncovered. Like an engineering mindset, how you walk through these little steps to walk with people. So you got to be able to build influence. That's the first thing we need to do in leadership. Now, the second thing we need to do is build trust. And here's the deal. If you want influence, you have to have trust. So there's different areas on how to build trust. How you speak and how your patterns, how you show up, different areas. But it all kind of comes back to the trust equation. The trust equation is basically a fraction that I created, and you have your numerator and your denominator, and you got to be credible, you got to be reliable, you got to be vulnerable, and you can't be selfish. And those variables all go into it. And to be able to build trust, you got to have basically a heart to help people and not be just doing everything for selfish gain. That's what basically the trust equation is. Glad to help you with that in the future. But you got to be able to build trust with people. If you can't build trust, there's likability, you're not going to build influence, and you're not going anywhere with any people. Because if you don't have influence and trust, you could say we're going on this mission, but when you turn around, you're going to notice nobody's there. So we need to be able to build those 2 things. Well, how do we do that? Well, there's different ways to do all that, but that kind of ties into that third thing, which is communication. If you can't communicate effectively, you're not going to be able to get the message across, and people aren't going to understand it. Trust is going to wane, and you're not going to be able to build influence. So you got to study on how to communicate effectively. Universities have that in their marketing programs and business programs on how to communicate. There's communication specialists. But I got to tell you, actors and improv people, they really know how to build and communicate well. They can actually do that effectively. They know how to do the different kind of movements, how to plant on stage when you're making a key point. They do a fantastic job. And there's tons of people out there that actually teach in sales and how to communicate all that really well. And there's tons of different schools that teach you on that, on how to communicate well. So you need to focus in on how to communicate. And you have to be doing so with the heart of telling stories. People love to hear stories. And you can teach a lesson through a story better than just saying what the lesson is. So learning how to tell stories is a key factor in communication. And you got Toastmasters, you've got National Speakers Association that all teach you how to communicate well too, and they'll teach you how to do that through stories. So for this video, learning how to build influence, trust, and communication, those are the key areas to grow your leadership. Without them, you're not going to have an easy ride, but it's going to take time to learn them anyways, so you might as well get going at it now, so when you hit that position of leadership, you can do so in stride and excellence faster. All right? Now, if you have more questions about that, feel free to reach out. Contact information is below. this video is helpful, hit like, share, subscribe, send it to somebody you think it might benefit, because that's why I do these videos, to help you. We'll see you next time.